All right, what's up? Yeah, day 4. Let's go for it. I'd like to go kind of quick today, so I probably won't do much commentary other than the topic that I'm gonna start out with. Unlike yesterday, I have some notes for today, just because I think this is a little bit more of a tricky topic and one that I think sometimes people learning Japanese kind of skip over or don't really learn about, unlike some of the stuff I talked about yesterday. So, yeah, hopefully this is actually new information to more people. um, yeah, and I kind of mentioned it yesterday, but what I'm going to talk about today is just the prosody or the pitch, the intonation rules of Japanese. Um, the framing that I've put in the title here. Hopefully it's not clickbaity, but I think it's actually the framing that a lot of people come at it with. I just had a conversation actually in the comments of yesterday's stream, kind of with this framing, and that's, is Japanese a tonal language? I think maybe one of the reasons that it's, I guess, put this way a lot, or there's a lot of discussion on that, is because it's a little bit ambiguous. We can do it right now. It's probably already in my search history. If you look up, is Japanese tonal? Yeah, there you go, in my search history. You'll see conflicting stuff. Top result here says Japanese is not a tonal language. Oh, look, second result says yes, Japanese is a tonal language. Second one says, or third one, whatever. These are all disagreeing with each other. This one says semitonal. So what the heck is going on? The good news is, I think the ambiguity isn't really so much about what's going on with Japanese. It's more just about what the term tonal language means, and I think really what's at the heart of it is it doesn't really matter that much what the term means. It's easier just to get in and describe what's going on in Japanese. Maybe at the end I'll talk a little bit about I'm not going to actually get into the theory, but I put a podcast actually in the show notes if you're more interested in the topic of tonality and the use of intonation in languages, but I'll get to that later. The other thing I want to say, I guess, about the frame of the question, sometimes it's asked a little bit differently. I think maybe some of the results I was just looking at said this. Is Japanese a tonal language like Chinese? People think of these East Asian languages in the same, general box if they don't know that much about them. That one is a much more clear answer. And yesterday when I said Japanese is not tonal, what I meant is it structurally is very different from languages like Chinese, Vietnamese, Thai, to the extent that it does kind of use pitch to contrast different words from each other. It doesn't work at all the same way as it does in Chinese and some of those Southeast Asian languages. And the other thing I want to point out is, every language has rules that govern the pitch of the sounds that you're making. I kind of said this yesterday. Anytime you pronounce a word with vowels in it, at the very least, it's going to have a pitch. And so, any language is going to have some rules around that. And some languages, like French, I think Turkish, they don't use pitch in a contrastive way ever. They don't distinguish two words on the basis of pitch. But English actually does. So this doesn't need to be too scary. Just the examples of that I've written down. If you're a native English speaker anyway, these will make sense to you. That, permit versus permit. Those are different words, right? Permit is a verb. You permit someone to do something. A permit is like a piece of paper you have showing that someone permitted you to do something. Same thing with White House versus White House, right? The White House is a different thing. The White House is a specific house that we all know about, as opposed to a White House. That's just any house. And notice that the kind of pitch, in English there's more than pitch, but part of what's going on there is just that the contour of my voice is different in those two. And I would actually say, even though Japanese does use pitch to disambiguate words from each other, In my judgment, it's actually kind of more similar to how English works structurally than to Chinese. It's not. It doesn't work the same way as English by any means, but to me, it feels more similar to English than to Chinese. So hopefully that at least makes it seem less daunting. I would say it's probably. I haven't actually no evidence for this. To me, it feels like it's probably less hard to learn if you're a speaker of English or other European languages. It's probably easier to learn the Japanese intonation system than to learn something like the tones in Chinese, Thai, Vietnamese, whatever. Yeah, so we'll get into that, but before we can like coherently talk about pitch, I just want to talk about another concept that's important as kind of a precursor to that, and I left this hanging a little bit yesterday. I kind of left some loose threads that hinted at this. But basically, this concept that we don't really have a parallel for in, I think, pretty much any European language, is the idea of a mora. A mora is in some ways similar to a syllable, but it's not the same thing. A syllable can have several moras, but the important part is it's like a unit of length. It's a unit of time almost. What I read. I don't know. I guess I didn't say this up front, but pretty much everything I'm saying here, other than the parts that are just informed by general linguistic knowledge, everything I learned about Japanese specific stuff, I learned pretty much for the most part today. I read Wikipedia and a couple other things, but Wikipedia is like my main source here, so if there's any huge mistakes on Wikipedia, hopefully they'll get corrected. But that's what I'm going based on. Yeah, so it talks about the concept of a mora. I have seen the concept of a mora in other places, but basically, to describe what it means, I think it's easiest with examples. So the way I would just say it is that in Japanese, some sounds have moras and some don't. So a vowel has a mora. So a syllable, which is one vowel in it, like oh, that's one mora. Something that doesn't have its own mora, something that doesn't add a mora, is a consonant at the beginning of a syllable. So like yo or ko, these are not going to have a mora. Even in that circumstance that we talked about yesterday, where you have two consonants, you have a consonant followed by a y sound at the beginning of a syllable. So like kyo, still just one mora. Doesn't really matter what's happening at the beginning of the syllable. What does add a mora is if the vowel is long. This is a concept. The concept of vowel length is something we don't really have in, I think, a lot of the most popular and well-known European languages. Some have it, I think, like Czech, Finnish, some of the like languages in like northeastern Europe. A lot of languages have the concept of long vowels, Latin, Arabic. Anyway, but it literally just means what it sounds. The vowel has a longer duration. So we do have long vowels in Japanese. And so an example of that is we have the syllable ko, and we have the second, or we have another syllable we could say that's different, that's two more as long. Ko. I don't know. I may not have said it perfectly, but it's supposed to be a long vowel sound. If it's true that in spoken Japanese each mora is about the same length, then maybe ko is about twice as long as ko, and we'll assign that two moras. Same thing, Japanese is much more happy than like English to just have vowels right next to each other, even maybe more than two, maybe 3 or 4 vowels all in a row next to each other. And anytime you do that, just each vowel has the number of moras that it would already have. So in this example, koi, I don't know, I think a lot of these are actual Japanese words, by the way, but I don't even know which ones. Some of these are just made up nonsense, just to kind of illustrate the concept. So if there's a word koi in Japanese, that would have 2 moras. I don't even know whether you might consider that to have 1 or 2 syllables. I think maybe the concept of a syllable is a little bit less important in Japanese, but definitely would have 2 moras. Also, if a syllable ends in that final N sound that we talked about last time, that final consonant is going to add a mora. So kon, it's going to be 2 moras. Same thing if we just add another syllable, kono. That's 2 moras. So again, if it's true that moras correspond pretty closely to length, I haven't studied this myself, so I can't comment on it. But so kon and kono would take about the same amount of time to say, even though the second word has an extra sound there at the end. So again, koko, 2 syllables, 2 mora. If that final nasal sound, that final N sound, appears before another syllable, it still just has its own mora. So kono, we can break that into 3 moras like this, kono. And same thing with that kind of special doubling sound that I talked about yesterday. So in like koko, because the K is doubled, you could think about it maybe it's the first K, or just the fact that the K is doubled adds an extra mora. So that's going to have 3 moras as well. One thing I want to throw in there that I didn't mention about the doubling syllable, or the doubling sound yesterday, is that it can really only apply to certain sounds. So it can only apply to p, t, k, and s. It also, you'll see it applied to the ch and sh sounds, but as I mentioned yesterday, those are kind of just conditioned variants of some of these other sounds, t and sh and s. You'll also see what looks like a double N or a double M, and that is not brought about by what I called the doubling sound that Wikipedia represents with a capital Q. I've written it with a capital Q here. If you see a doubled M or a doubled N, that's caused by the ending N sound appearing before another M or N. So just to point that out. Yeah, and hopefully it's already implied, but I just want to, I guess, reiterate. I think maybe this was my experience studying Mandarin, is that sometimes if there are these sound contrasts in a language that someone's learning as a second language, and they're unfamiliar with it, they kind of just, in my Mandarin classes, sometimes there were people who would just sort of try to ignore tone. They would just kind of not really try to learn it, just try to make themselves understood without it, and not really put any effort into trying to learn it until they got to a point where they had a large enough vocabulary. It was sufficiently advanced to where they needed to make those distinctions that could only be made with tone, and they started to regret not having started put in the work earlier to understand those contrasts. So I think maybe there's a similar situation here. If you're not familiar with another language that makes length contrasts for vowels or consonants, it might be tempting to just brush past these. But if you really want to be able to distinguish Japanese words from each other that are important to distinguish, you have to make these distinctions clear in your head. So I just pulled, again, I obviously don't know these words yet at all. I guess I know the word kita. I could probably figure that out by now, but the rest of these I wouldn't have known. I just pulled these off Wikipedia, but they're just examples of when you need contrasts between long and short sounds. It's like kyo versus kyo, residence and today. So they mean something different. Kita versus kita, 2 different verbs. Yeah, so that's just a note. Be mindful of the contrasts. Cool. Okay, that's the concept of moras. That was kind of a separate topic than what was advertised in the title, I guess. But it's it's important for the sake of actually discussing the accent rules of Japanese. So yeah, to get into what those are specifically, so if you break up any Japanese word into its constituent moras, however many there are, up to one mora per word has an accent associated with it. So if you have, let's go to the examples on Wikipedia. So if you have a word hashi, you represent it in kana like this, and all these are going to be represented with the same kana. But there are 3 different words with 3 different accent patterns. So in the word, I'm going to say these to the best of my ability now, having done like 30 minutes of research. So I may not say these perfectly, but in my attempt it would be hashi is chopsticks, hashi is bridge, and hashi is edge. So 3 different words. In hashi, the accent is on the first mora, ha. In hashi, the accent is on the second mora, shi. And in the third word, edge, hashi, neither mora is accented. So when I say that it's structurally kind of similar to English, the reason I said that is in English, every word has one stressed syllable, right? So in permit, the first syllable is stressed, and in permit, the second syllable is stressed. One way that it's kind of different is that in English you must have at least one stressed syllable. Maybe not in like tiny little function words like to or the or something, but certainly for like any noun with multiple syllables, one of the syllables is going to be the stressed syllable. Japanese, any one of the moras can have the accent, but the extra option that Japanese has that English doesn't is that it may be that none of them have an accent on them. How do you hear the accent? So it's not the same thing as English stress, because in English, stress does a lot of things to the word and to the syllable. Stress syllables in English tend to be louder. Stress tends to affect the pitch of a syllable. I think the ways in which it can do that are kind of complicated, so I won't comment on it. And stress can also affect the duration of sounds, or like the amount of time that you allocate to each syllable in English. Japanese, again, from as far as I could tell, timing, duration is mostly just chalked up to moras. And volume, I don't really know. I didn't see anything. I don't know anything about whether Japanese ever changes the volume of syllables or sounds based on anything. But like the main way that accent is indicated is just by changing the pitch throughout the word. And I think that's one reason that people will say Japanese is tonal, because you'll have words where the only difference between the two words is a pitch contour. And there's a recording on Wikipedia we can listen to in a second that'll make that clear. There will be two words that sound exactly the same, except for the contour of the pitch of the voice over the word. And so, to some people that qualifies as being tonal. Maybe it is. I'm not sure that, in my linguistic experience, I'm not sure that the word tonal has a precise enough definition. So maybe that counts. Sure. It's different than tonal languages like Chinese. In a language like Mandarin, every syllable has a tone associated with it. And that's not what's going on with Japanese here. To the extent that there are differences in a tone contour, they operate across the entire word. It's not that every syllable has a tone. Yeah, okay, so what is the way that it affects pitch? It seems like it's kind of different across different dialects or different accents of Japanese. Um, but there's standard Japanese, which I guess is the variety from Tokyo. And this is what probably, as a second language learner, you're trying to go for. This is maybe what would be preferred in like official contexts. So that's all that I read about. That's all I'm going to try to describe. I know that it's different for different Japanese speakers, so I'm just going to try to describe, I guess, the standard way to use tone, to use pitch in Japanese. And the most characteristic aspect of it, the way that you identify which mora is accented in a Japanese word, is that immediately following the accented mora, the pitch goes down. So, like in this word, hashi, meaning chopsticks, the first syllable is kind of high, and immediately after that first accented syllable, the pitch goes down. What's going on in the rest of the word? It seems kind of vague. It'll be described differently in different places, but the broad pattern is that the pitch rises a little bit throughout the word. So starting at the beginning, it'll keep going up and up and up and up a little bit until it gets to like the highest pitch on the accented mora, and then right after that it gets low, and it stays low pretty much for the rest of the word. I'll play the beginning of this recording. Make sure I'm capturing audio. I think I am. I'll play the first. I think this recording works by rows, so we can hear the first three, or maybe just the first two, and hear how that sounds.
These examples are meant to demonstrate Japanese pitch accent. Example 1. Hashi, meaning chopsticks with an accent on the first mora.
Right, so she says hashi. I know it can be a little bit tough to hear pitch or to hear tones if you're not conditioned to this, if you're not used to hearing this in a language. I don't think that's a problem I can address right now. It's something that just takes practice, but if you have a hard time hearing it, you'll just have to trust that this is what's going on, that in the word she just said, the first syllable, the first mora, is high and the second mora is low. Hashi. In the second word here, well, let's listen to it.
Hashi, meaning bridge.
Hashi. So the second syllable is a little bit higher than the first, but to me it doesn't sound like it's quite as big of a contrast, because the important contrast is that there should be a very wide pitch difference between the accented mora and the one after it. Moras before the accented mora, maybe they're a little lower, maybe they generally rise across the word, but it's not necessarily as big of a contrast. So that's those first two. Hashi versus hashi. Okay, what I haven't talked about yet is words where there's no accented mora. It seems like there are varying descriptions about this too. We'll listen to how it says it in the recording. To me, the word with no accented mora sounds different than the word with the last mora accented, but oftentimes I've seen it written that they'll be pronounced the same way or almost the same way. That for both of them, all that's happening is you have a slowly rising pitch contour across the word. I'll play the recording back again from the beginning. To me, it sounds like she doesn't reach quite as high a pitch on this third word, this third accentless word, as she does on the second word, but let's listen.
These examples are meant to demonstrate Japanese pitch accent. Example 1. Hashi, meaning chopsticks with an accent on the first mora. Hashi, meaning bridge with an accent on the second mora. Hashi, meaning edge with no pitch accent.
Right. So to me, it definitely sounds like she's not quite reaching as high of a pitch with her voice on that third word, because it has no accent. Now, one thing that I suspect may be true, this is just speculation based on what I've seen in the way that it tends to work in different languages, so this may not be true. But it would be unsurprising to me if this were kind of something that you heard when people were speaking carefully, when they were really trying to enunciate. But maybe if they're speaking quickly, it's harder to hear the difference between an accentless word and a word with the last more accented. Maybe they just both sound like they're just rising the whole time. The other way that you can hear them is, so generally, the tone contour of a word is going to continue on to particles after it, especially case particles like wa, o, do, ni. In this recording, she uses ni. But basically, whenever you have an accented syllable, right, everything after the accented syllable needs to be low. So the pitch on any particle after an accented mora, I might have said syllable there, sorry, I should be saying mora. If any particles anywhere after an accented mora, it's going to be low in pitch. So even if the accented mora is the last mora of the word, what that means is any particles that come after it are going to be significantly lower in pitch than the last mora of the word itself. Whereas for an accentless word, that kind of slowly rising or kind of flat pitch contour is just going to kind of continue and keep coasting onto the particles. So hopefully we'll hear that here in this next row.
Compare. Hashi, hashi, hashi. Example 2.
Okay, so this is the second row.
Ima,
Oh,
meaning now,
not
with an
second
accent
row.
on the first mora. An accent on the first mora. Kaki, meaning fen. Sake, meaning salmon,
Oh.
with an accent on the first.
Okay, I thought I remembered in this recording that she did this row here, but maybe she didn't. I can try to imitate it based on my understanding. But obviously, I don't know Japanese, so this is just purely based on kind of what I've read and the way that I've understood this. So for a word, for a phrase, with the first mora accented, you'd hear something like hashini, with only that first mora being really high. For a word with the second mora accented, followed by a particle, maybe it would be something like hashini, where the pitch kind of reaches a peak on that second mora, and then for the particle it's low. And lastly, for an accentless word, maybe it's just something like hashini, hashini, something like that, something more flat, where you don't have this immediate drop in pitch on the last particle. Yeah, that's all I got. Hopefully that not only made sense, but hopefully maybe someone who speaks a standard variety of Japanese natively or otherwise well can tell me if all of that seems right. Yeah, I won't take a position necessarily on whether or not Japanese is tonal, just because I think the word tonal is just not specific enough. But I think it's better than to say is Japanese or tonal not. Just be very specific and describe what Japanese is doing, and this is what it's doing. If this kind of thing interests you, Japanese is often described with this phrase pitch accent, that's supremely unhelpful. I think basically it was created by European linguists to say, well, it's not like Chinese, not every syllable has a tone, but it's also, it makes some use of pitch in some way. It's a really broad, not very descriptive category that gets applied to a lot of languages that work in a lot of different ways. And there's all kinds of ways that pitch can be used in language that are unlike Chinese, unlike Japanese, unlike European languages. There are truly some surprising things that languages do with pitch. And if this is the kind of thing that interests you, I have put a podcast that I really enjoy down here in the video description. The episode is called The Case of Pitch Accent. The podcast is called Theory Neutral. I think it can be fairly technical. I mean, the episode itself is only about 20 minutes long, so it's not hugely long if you just want to get a taste of what academic linguistics is like. I think it's moderately technical. It can be sort of technical, but it's really, really cool. If you have any inclination to linguistics in general outside of Japanese, that's a really cool resource. So I do highly recommend that. Yeah, okay. That's all I wanted to cover here. I've probably been going for a while already. Started streaming, 30 minutes ago. Is that true? Okay. Well, hopefully that means I covered it well then. That would be a shame to talk for 30 minutes and not cover it well. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I guess I'll get back into it today. Yeah, like I said, I think I probably won't really be doing commentary today, just because I kind of need to get through this quickly today. But hopefully commentary will be back tomorrow. I don't know if I'm gonna try to open with any particular topic tomorrow. I might just be grinding tomorrow. So yeah, I guess I'll start. I think I'm going to start with news sentences again today. I think I liked that a little bit better. So I'll leave that review for after I do some news stuff. Friend. Oh no, class.
彼女は僕のクラスの友達だよ。
Okay. I knew I had seen the two kanji word for class, but that looks kind of right. Kurasu, I guess that's an English loan word.
彼女は僕のクラスの友達だよ。
彼は駅に着いた。今の音何？今の音何？
月が出た。 月が出た。私はそう思わない。どれが君の本ですか？
それは辞書である。
彼は毎日小説を読む。彼は毎日小説を読む。
私は大学へ行きたい。私は山に行く。
彼女は僕のクラスの友達だよ。
Why? Okay. 彼はもの
彼は物覚えが良い。
I just hope it doesn't sound weird in the recording, but I guess it doesn't matter that much.
彼は物覚えが良い。
Actually, let me hear how that sounds. Oh.
彼は物覚えが良い。彼は物覚えが良い。彼は物覚えが良い。
Oh man.
彼は
Did it not capture my screen this whole time? What the hell? Oh no. Oh no, how did that happen? It's not capturing my live screen. Okay. For some reason, it seems like I was not getting a live version of my screen capture this entire time. Shoot. Well, I'll probably retake the stuff about Japanese intonation at some point. Yeah, that's a shame. Okay, well, yeah, I haven't used OBS that much. That kind of sucks, but that's okay. I'll just keep grinding today, and I don't know how much my notes really would. It's probably nice to have the visual. I don't know. Maybe I'll redo that at some point. But anyway. What I wanted to hear is how it sounded if I just played it out loud.
彼は物覚えが良い。彼は物覚えが良い。
Played it out loud.
彼は物覚えが良い。彼は物覚えが良い。
Doesn't sound terrible.
彼は物覚えが良い。1万円以上します。1万円以上します。1万円以上します。
I don't know.
彼の足は長い。
足は長い。
彼はまだ事実を知らない。
事実。
彼はまだ事実を知らない。
知らないよ。知る。
話を続けなさい。話を続けなさい。
続けなさい。
時代に遅れないように。
時代。
時代に遅れないように。
遅れない。
時代に遅れないように。
遅れないように。遅れないように。
宿題をやるべきだったのに。
宿題。宿題。
宿題をやるべきだったのに。宿題をやるべきだったのに。次だった。次だったのに。宿題、宿題よ。宿題。宿題。 僕も全く同じだよ。
全て
僕も全く同じだよ。
これらは
彼らは午後に勉強する。彼らは午後に勉強する。彼らは午後に勉強する。
彼らは午後に
彼らは午後に勉強する。
勉強する。
7時頃にね。7時頃にね。7時頃にね。7時頃にね。彼は物覚えが良い。 彼は物覚えが良い。
物覚え。覚えが良い。覚え。
彼は物覚えが良い。彼は物覚えが良い。彼は物覚えが良い。
物覚えが良い。良い。僕も僕も
僕も全く同じだよ。
同じだよ。彼はもう
彼は物覚えが良い。
金より体。
金。
金より体。
体。金より体。出る。
ただ見ているだけです。
ただ。
夏が来た。
夏が来た。夏が来た。私の
私の妻は医者です。
妻は
私の妻は医者です。私の妻は医者です。
私の妻は医者です。医者です。妻医者。
母は頭が古い。母は頭が古い。母は頭が古い。母は頭が古い。母は頭が古い。
彼は私の手を
彼は私の手を取った。
私の手を彼は私の手を
彼は私の手を取った。彼は年を取った。
い男。
いい男見つけたね。
見つけたね。見つける。見つける。見つけるね。
俺は自由な男。新聞どこ？
新聞どこ？どこ？
新聞どこ？
新聞どこ？彼は
彼は年を取った。
年を取った。いい男。
いい男見つけたね。いい男見つけたね。
いい男。いい男。いい男。いい男。
いい男見つけたね。
見つけたね。見つけたね。見つけたね。
いい男見つけたね。
理由は誰もわからない。理由は誰もわからない。理由は誰もわからない。理由は誰もわからない。
か
立ってください。何作ったの？何作ったの？何作ったの？何作ったの？何作ったの？
彼のところは大家族だ。彼のところは大家族だ。彼のところは大家族だ。彼のところは大家族だ。彼のところは大家族だ。 彼のところは大家族だ。
家族だ。家族だ。
わからないよ。
わからないよ。わからないよ。彼は
彼は必ず成功する。
成功する。成功する。
彼は必ず成功する。彼は必ず成功する。彼が最初に来た。
最初に来た。最初に来た。最初に来た。
今ホテルにいる。今ホテルにいる。今ホテルにいる。
今ホテルにいる。それは
それは最も重要な問題だ。
最も
それは最も重要な問題だ。
メアリーは母親です。
母親です。
理由は誰もわからない。
理由は誰も。
理由は誰もわからない。
わからない。理由も。
理由は誰もわからない。理由は誰もわからない。
服を着ましたか？
服
を着ましたか？服を着ましたか？
作る。わかりました。切る。来ました。
服を着ましたか？
父は
父は背が高いです。
背が高いです。背が高いです。私の意見に
友人は私の意見に反対だ。
友達、友人は私の意見に
友人は私の意見に反対だ。
反対だ。彼らは友達のだった友達のだった
彼らは友達のままだった。
ままだったそのままでチャンネルはそのままでチャンネルはそのままで私はあのままでウイスキーを飲む
彼らは友達のままだった。
ずれている
雨が降っている。
雨が降っている降る雨が降っている雨が降っているトムは
トムは政治家です。
政治家です政治家です政治家です
良い夢を。
良い夢を彼は仕事
彼は仕事を終えた。
仕事
彼は仕事を終えた。
終えた
彼は仕事を終えた。
探してください。
探してください。探してください。探してください。探してください。ですが、いくら少
いくらですか？
年いくらですか？いくら父は背が長いです。
父は背が高いです。
高い。父は背が高いです。
雨が降っている。
雨が降っている。トムは
トムは政治家です。
政治家です。トムは政治家です。いくらですか？
いくらですか？
いくらですか？いくらですか？よかった。
昔は良かった。
昔はよかった。昔はよかった。昔はよかった。
彼は行動家だ。
行動家だ。行動家だ。彼は行動家だ。日本語が
日本語がお上手ですね。日本語がお上手ですね。
彼は
彼はいくつ？
彼はいくつ？いくら？
夕食ができたよ。ありがとう。
ありがとう。ありがとう。ありがとう。ありがとう。ありがとう。
終わったのですか？終わったのですか？
終わった。終わる。終わった。終わったのですか？終わったのですか？
私は公園に行く。
公園に行く。公園に行く。 公園に行く。
風が少しある。風が少しある。
風が少しある。少しある。
この場所に
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 私も説明もできないよ。
私も説明もできないよ。
彼は毎日そこへ行く。
彼は毎日そこへ行く。
そこへ行く。俺は人間だ。
俺は人間だ。
あれは木です。
あれは木です。
質問していい？
質問質問問題質問問題質問していい？本当なぜ？
本当？なぜ？
本当なぜ？君もしてよ。
君も努力してよ。
君も努力。君も努力。君も努力。君も努力してよ。
君も努力してよ。
彼とはうまくやっている。
彼とはうまくやっている。
うまく まい、うまく。彼とはうまく
彼とはうまくやっている。
やっている。これらは人間だ。
これらは人間だ。
それは私の
それは私の研究外のことです。
研究外のことです。研究外のことです。研究外のことです。研究外のことです。英語はですね。
英語は難しいですね。
難しい。英語は難しいですね。難しいですね。あまり開始見えない。
あまり見えない。
あまり見えない。あまり見えない。あまり見えない。何を料理しているの？
何を料理しているの？
料理しているの？料理しているの？僕の家はこの
僕の家はこの近くなんだ。
近くなんだ。近くなんだ。近くなんだ。あなたが女の子。あなたが女の子だからよ。
あなたが女の子だからよ。
だからよ。
約2週間です。約2週間です。
約2週間です。週間です。もういつ質問してもいいですか？
もう一つ質問してもいいですか？もう一つ質問してもいいですか？
もう一つ。
もう一つ質問してもいいですか？
質問してもいいですか？
もう一つ質問してもいいですか？
してもいいですか？話したい話したいこと話したいことが
話したいことが多い。
多い電話が
電話がかかってるよ。
かかってるよ。電話がかかってるよ。何が見える？
何か見える？
何か見える？電話がかかっている。
電話がかかってるよ。
かかってるよ。かかってるよ。電話がかかってるよ。ホームには誰とも話をさせるな。
トムには誰とも話をさせるな。
させるな。させるな。重要だ。
結果だけが重要だ。
結果だけが重要だ。音楽会
音楽会は成功だった。
成功だった。彼にその本を彼にその本をあげた。
彼にその本をあげた。
本をあげた。あげる。あげた。 うして私などうして私な
どうして私なの？
どうして私なの？それが重要な点です。
それが重要な点です。
その川は時間だ。
その川は危険だ。
危険だ。その川は危険だ。この少女は
この少女は誰ですか？
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 誰ですか？
全部食べなさい。
全部食べま。全部食べま。食べなさい。
全部食べなさい。
食べなさい。食べなさい。食べなさい。危ない。結果は気にするな。結果は気にするな。
結果は気にするな。
結果は気にするな。結果は気にするな。気にするな。結果は気にするな。彼はOh, good lord.
彼は一生懸命勉強した。
一生懸命勉強した。彼は話をやめた。
彼は話をやめた。
やめた。Right.
口ばっかり、口ばっかり、
口ばっかり、口ばっかり、口ばっかり、口ばっかり、ばかり、口ばかり。私の意見は、私の意見は、私の意見は、
私の意見は違います。
意見は、私の意見は、
私の意見は違います。
意見は、私の意見は、
私の意見は違います。
違います。違います。違うんだよ。違います。違うは違います。そんなにどいて何になる。
そんなに働いて何になる。
働いて何になる。
そんなに働いて何になる。
働いて何になる。
3週間ぐらいです。
3週間ぐらいです。ぐらい。週間ぐらいです。しないで。
心配しないで。
心配心配しないで。
座ってください。
座ってください。座ってください。座ってください。料理が
料理が上手ですね。
上手ですね。ああ、上手ですね。料理が上手ですね。ああ、
あ、雪だ。
雪だ。ああ、雪だ。雪だ。雪だ。ああ、雪だ。ああ、雪だ。心配しないで。
心配しないで。
心配しないで。彼は小説彼は小説を書いている。
彼は小説を書いている。
書いている。書いている。小説。
彼は小説を書いている。
小説を書いている。本当である。本当であるには今日いつか過ぎる。
本当であるには良すぎる。
本当であるには良すぎる。彼女はお金を
彼女はお金を与えた。
与えた。与える。で、おいでよ。
入っておいでよ。
入って入る。おいでよ。入っておいでよ。宿題が
宿題がたくさんある。
宿題がたくさんある。宿題がたくさんある。 が来るよ。
電車が来るよ。
電車が来るよ。トムの音がする。
トムの声がする。
声がする。トムの声がする。彼女は彼女は彼女は彼女は
彼女は幸せです。
幸せ。彼女は幸せです。腹は僕の写真。
あれは僕の写真。
写真。写真。あれは僕の写真。絵を見なさい。
絵を見なさい。
絵を見なさい。彼が笑い。彼が笑い。信じよう。彼が笑い。
彼が若いはずがない。
はずがない。Oh. はずがない。50円です。
50円です。
50円です。私には
私には娘がいます。
私には娘がいます。
行きたい。
行きたい。目は心の
目は心の窓である。
目は
目は心の窓である。目は心の窓である。目は心の窓である。
彼は10年前に
彼は10年前に死んだ。
彼は何と言いましたか？
言いましたか？
船だよ。
だよ。船だよ。船だよ。
船だよ。
船だよ。彼は、
彼は非常に親切だ。
非常に親切だ。
彼は非常に親切だ。
親切だ。何て
なんて答えたの？
なんて答えたの？I only have two left. 答えたの。Yeah. Oh, is this just a long word?
警察が来てる。
Oh, no, still not battery, katakana. 警察 Okay, we'll see if I remember that.
警察が来てる。警察が来てる。